Welcome to All Power to the People podcast on Grown Folks Talking, Express Yourself Internet Radio via the Huddle Team app. We meet every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We discuss local, national, and global events that impact the material conditions of the people.
Yeah, I think in that verse specifically, the only thing I heard coming up was the American dream until we started being successful. And it was like, wait a minute, you're selling out because you're making money. That was the first thing that was put on musicians. People had this law for the struggling artist. That's a mind game, what we would call back in the day for technology. It was like, no, I'm not going for that. Like, no, I make art first, and then I make sure that I'm compensated for my art. I didn't take advantage. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people. I didn't take it. No one. That's not my reputation. That's not what I do. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people or taking advantage of, the loopholes in the system or some wrinkle in like a capitalist structure. That structure exists, and I just see the world for what it is, not for what I want it to be. I'm a realist, not an ideal. It's not idealistic. People speak about the world how they want to see it. You're never going to win like that.
I think that we confuse or we automatically correlate and associate capitalists with greed. That's not the definition of capitalist. The definition of capitalist is somebody that engages in practices for profit. That don't mean you being a greedy motherfucker, you want to starve everybody else. That just means you running a business, you want to turn a profit with your business. And so we conflate the two things. And so I think that especially with us as black people, I've said this a million times, I think that, to his point, they be putting this evil connotation on making money, dog, to kind of dissuade you from trying to be the best that you could be or trying to make more money while they go out and make zillions of dollars and control you and keep you down.
Correct.
They don't want us to get to a certain place in society, so they try to play this mind fuck on you, and these white kids that are being brought up in these families, they not learning that. We learning that shit, like more money, more problems, and all that other goofy shit that we learn. Like, all right, give me the problems, because I damn sure want the bread. So that's my opinion when it comes to capitalism and people's definition of capitalism.
Yeah. He said that the record industry kind of makes you feel like you're wrong for making money off your art.
I think he said society. But
society, for sure.
Yeah,
but it's really the industry people, right? When artists try to monetize their shit, like Jay-Z did, they look at you. I agree. But again, that's part of the predatory nature of capitalism, is that it's always trying. A small group of people with a lot of resources are always trying to take those or hoard those resources for themselves. They'd rather themselves have all of it or most of it at the expense of everybody else. Like those record company execs, they didn't want Jay-Z to get rich.
As Panthers, we're socialists. What socialism means is we care about everybody around us in the community. We want everybody to eat. We want everybody to share in the productivity of the community. That's what a socialist is. Capitalists believe they need to profit off the people in the community. They have to take the profits and they have to make it private. Individual people should own the profit. Like, what do I mean by that? We're in the hood right now. We can't afford nowhere to stay. The rents are too high. They're doubling the rents, and people are suffering out here. North is leading the country in gentrification. Now, this is not what Afrika's saying. You could go to the clown report that was done by Rutgers University and go check it out. They're going to tell you exactly what I just said. North is leading the country in gentrification. If North is leading the country in gentrification, people can't afford a place to stay. There's somebody that's at fault for that. That means those people are no longer here in North no more. Because if you lose your home, you're not in North no more. You have to find somewhere else to stay. 70% of the homes in North are owned by corporations. So that means only 30% of the people in North own a home. So that means there is no community. The city is transient. People come in, people move, people leave out. You cannot build no community here. Somebody did that. Somebody gave these contracts and allowed these slumlords to do what they're doing. How many slumlords have been to jail? We know people. We know people in North that been to jail that get locked up for weed, that get locked up for crack. How many slumlords been locked up for not having heat, for not having hot water, for having mice running all around the place? None of them have been to jail, but our children keep going to jail. Who are the people eating in the city? Yo, you guys are sitting up there, y'all giving this interview. I know y'all not living in mansions. I know y'all not doing it big. I know your family members is struggling like all of us out here.
Well, I don't agree with nothing he said. I'm not a socialist. I am definitely a capitalist.
1 second, caller. He's responding.
And I would say to you that probably 90% of the people in the city capitalists.
Now, that was only, I wrote down, let's get to 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and I already have a throbbing vein in my temple. I saw you had all your expressions as you were watching that. Who wants to go first? Paul, I see you nodding. Which part of this, maybe we should start with just the Jay-Z clip in and of itself. Jay-Z makes a couple of points. He says he didn't get here by taking advantage of anyone, of any loopholes in the capitalist structure, that he earned his money, to sum it up, fair and square, and that capitalism is something different from exploitation. What would you say to that?
You have to unmute.
Mic check, mic check.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Chicken, mic check. What's going on, Ibrahim?
What's up, what's up?
Yo, what's up, man? Yo, you be dipping off on me, man. Yo, I'm trying to put you on the show for you to be on the show.
Hey, it got toward the end of March Madness, man. I had to prepare. I'm back.
Yo, we gotta do a segment about sports, man. We gotta do some about sports. Now, man, I want to talk about argument too, man. Stanley and the white boy, man. We can talk about. Yeah, we gonna chop it up with that. Yo, what's going on? What's going on, anyone? You did, anyone?
Good morning and all power to the people.
Oh, all right, A-Rod, I thought you was back there with Balco. You know who Balco is?
Who's Belco?
Oh, you don't know who Balco is? Those are the people that are supplying A-Rod with them steroids. I thought you was back there with them just now. Yo, people don't know about that, man. I don't know. Was you around when A-Rod was in trouble with these people?
No, I didn't hear about that. You talking about the baseball player? He was really big in the 2000s, back in like 2010, 8, when he signed up.
You didn't hear about the steroids?
I mean, I heard about steroids since going back to the 90s.
But you ain't
going
hear
back to the 80s even.
By the way, you ain't hear nothing about A-Rod dealing with these people about the steroid stuff?
Nah, who's the people?
You a baseball fan?
He follows that.
Yeah, you a baseball fan?
Are you breaking up a little bit?
Yeah, you a baseball fan?
Somewhat.
Yeah, that's why he wasn't following it. It was all over the place.
The scandal? Nah. Yeah. I remember people were naming their kids after him and stuff like that, and he was big time. And then I didn't hear anything about it, and I just heard that baseball was kind of falling off. But I used to watch baseball back in the 80s when I was a kid. I got a lot of Yankees games back in. Every night I used to play them in the summertime at 9 o'clock.
Nah, well,
I didn't follow.
Nah, they was on them, yo. This
the Mets.
Yo, this guy with yo, mute A-Rod, man. You want time out? What's up, Muta? Come on, Moo. Talk to me, Moo. Do they, Muta?
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings,
Hey, yo, man, I was on that radio show, man, that morning radio show, and I gave you a shout out. I don't know why you ain't put it.
and post it, man. Like, what's up with you, bro? I ain't doing the job for you. I ain't on your campaign, B.
I ain't see you on there.
Yeah, I see you slipping, B. I pulled it over there. I pulled it over there.
Hold up. Sound breaking up. Let me, hey, babe. Let me call you back. Hang up for me.
You're not gonna call back. You have a very nasty habit.
Please hang up. Thank you. All right, I hear you now.
You need to tell wifey to be on the show too, bro. Come on, man. Tell wifey she need to get on the show, man. Hey, yo, but I went on the Big Zay Breakfast Show, man, and they was talking about politics, and I was telling them how, like, I don't do electoral politics, but I know dudes. I know what the work dudes been putting in the hood. I mean, I know you're ready for the West Ward, so I was telling them, like, the kind of work you do, like, that you a stand-up dude. I thought you were going to cut that and put that with the commercial. And like, there's wrong with that, man.
When you was on?
Man, I'm really.
That's what you need to do. You need to go follow Big Zay in the morning, and then you need to go, and then you need to go follow our YouTube channel because we post stuff on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and share it, and you'll see all the good things we say about you.
Yeah, I definitely subscribe to your channel. I get everything y'all. I definitely subscribe.
You're the CEO, man. Hey, man, you say go to YouTube and find that thing.
You said she ain't gonna tell me put your own work in. God darn it.
Go to YouTube and find that, man. Yo, but that's what's up, yo. We got a good show today, man. I gotta hurry up and stuff that. Hey, how you doing, Comrade Cam? I see you out there. How you doing, Comrade? Comrade Cam, you there?
I hear you. Sorry.
Hey,
death to imperialism, life to freedom.
To the people. And I spoke to somebody from Atlanta. They was telling me, they were like, yeah, there was some Black Panthers out here protesting about the kid that got hung and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, those the homies. So you feel me? Look, it done got all the way back to me in Jersey, you heard?
I'm glad. They just need to call us the Lions.
They don't know. They don't know. Like, they don't understand. Like, you say what? Yeah, it's gonna take time and stuff. But she was just she knew that yo was out there. She's not really politically. I mean, she's not politically there. But she was just aware that there was somebody out there protesting about that. You feel me?
We're about to go back. We're about to go back out.
All power to the people. I'm gonna tell her. Maybe this time she gonna pull up, and then you can organize her. You heard?
We need it, so pull up.
No, man, but nah, I don't know if you need her. She like real materialist though. I ain't gonna tell her to come. Nah. Well, I was about to hang up on her last night. I was talking to her on the phone. She was making me mad.
Yeah, please put me in contact. I would love to meet her.
Oh shit! I'm gonna put you in contact, yo. She was making me nervous. But
thank you, Chairman.
Power to the people. Yo, I just saw somebody that just dipped off. But be that as it may, welcome to All Power to the People on Grown Folks Talking Network. Express yourself. Hey, this is where revolutionaries meet. This is where revolutionaries meet for us to conversate and dialogue on how we change the material conditions outside our windows. Yo, we're here every Sunday at 12 o'clock. We go back and we listen to luminaries, we listen to people in the past, our ancestors, and see how they dealt with this capitalism, how they dealt with this system that we're dealing with today, and what their advice was, or what their advice were on how to deal with these people. So we've been reading the Philadelphia Negro. This is from like the 1890s, 1896, and they're explaining the conditions in Philadelphia of the black people there. I mean, if you missed the first few chapters, you missed a lot. What were you on, chapter 14? You missed a lot. But basically, what we've been reading so far is a class perspective on the conditions of black folks in Philadelphia at that time. I mean, because we're in a class struggle, and the perspective that W.E.B. Du Bois is coming from is not the perspective of the people that's on the ground. So he's giving his ideology or his analysis of what's going on from his class perspective. And his class perspective can be kind of demeaning, disrespectful, and exploitative of the masses of black folks. And that's what we've been seeing here. So in this chapter, they're going to be talking about What are they talking about? They're talking about alcohol. You know what? Let me get to it because it's a few minutes. I want to get through it because we got something big to talk about after this. We got something big to talk about. Let me try to get through this. I'm not gonna stop it that much. I'm gonna just try to let it play as much as I can.
The Philadelphia Negro, Chapter 14, Section 4.
Hey, hold up. I'll be remiss if I don't say it. It's narrated by the General Secretary. She takes times out of her day to sit down and narrate this so we don't have to go read the book and come here and talk about it. I mean, so like, hey, yo, give it the respect it's due, man, and listen to it, because everything that we talk about, everything that we're dealing with is going to be coming from basically what we're listening to here. And if you never read the Philadelphia Negro, man, take some time now to consume it. Bring it in. You may never read it again in your life. Because, like, it's hard for us to stop what we're doing now and to sit down and really read a book, enjoy a book. But all power to the people.
Hey, she did an excellent job. When y'all get done, post it like the full thing to YouTube because people listen to books on YouTube.
All power to the people. Now she did. And the crazy part, Ibrahim, last week I was like, yo, let me I'm gonna record some of it for you. Yo, she didn't even ask me again. She just went on ahead and did it. I think she's trying to block me out of putting my voice on here. But General Secretary, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, why you was hating on me? Why you didn't let me do the audio this week?
Bro, you need to practice a little bit more.
Oh, wow. The nerve. The nerve. I don't even get paid up here, man. I'm about to start actually get paid. Hey, who Mark? How you doing, Mark? Who Mark? Talk to me, Mark. We talk here. We go back and forth, Mark.
We got to make sure in the opposite here, man, even though we're not hiding nothing.
We got
to make sure it's real people here, not bots.
Hey, Mark, and 862-223, y'all can say something. Say hi or something. Let me know who you guys are. But if you don't want to, it is what it is. If you're the federalities, it is what it is, man. We ain't got nothing to hide, like the General Secretary said. But let me play the audio. Mark, you there, Mark? 223, you there? They don't want to talk to me.
Drink habits. The intemperate use of intoxicating liquors is not one of the Negro's special offenses. Nevertheless, there is considerable drinking and the use of beers is on the increase. The Philadelphia liquor saloons are conducted under an unusually well-administered system and are not so great in extent centers of brawling and loafing as in other cities. No amusements as pool and billiards are allowed in homes where liquor is sold. This is not an unmixed good, for the result is that much of the drinking is thus driven into homes, clubs, and speakeasies. The increase of beer drinking among all classes, black and white, is noticeable. The beer wagons deliver large numbers of bottles at private residences, and much is carried from the saloons in buckets. An attempt was made in 1897 to count the frequenters of certain saloons in the 7th Ward during the hours from 8 to 10 on a Saturday night. It was impracticable to make this count simultaneously or to cover the whole ward, but 8 or 10 were watched each night. The results are a rough measurement of the drinking habits in this ward. There are in the ward 52 saloons, of which 26 were watched in the district, mostly inhabited by Negroes. In these 2 hours, the following record was made. Negroes, male, 1,373, female, 213, whites, male, 1,445, female, 139. Of those entering, the following are known to have carried liquor away. Negroes, male, 238, female, 125, whites, male, 235, females, 81. 3,170 persons entered half the salons of the 7th Ward in the hours from 8 to 10 of one Saturday night in December 1897. Of these, 1,586 were Negroes and 1,584 were white.
All right, so right now they're talking about the saloons, the liquor, people that consume alcohol beverage that went inside the different saloons and spots to get the alcohol out. at that time in the 1890s, 1880s, whatever, it was kind of frowned upon. I mean, to abuse alcohol, to even be drinking at home. I mean, to consume alcohol at home, like that was problem. Like you're gonna hear them saying there's some of the people that were taking the alcohol out of the establishment, because to them, like that was kind of foreign back then in the 18 whatever. This is about what 20 years, 25 years before Prohibition. Prohibition started, I believe, in the 1820s to like 1830s. So remember, like.
Wait, are you sure it wasn't the 19 Prohibition?
1920. Prohibition started in 1920.
Okay.
To 1933 or 1930s. But be that it's so just like picture it in your mind. It's like 20 years before they banned alcohol. They actually, because for them to ban.
No, Chairman. Prohibition was in the 1900s. This is the 1890s, right?
1890s. Prohibition was 1920.
Yeah. So that's more than 20 years, no?
This is what is it, 1896? 1895?
Yeah.
In 1920. How many years is that? 24?
Yeah, you're right. My bad. I'm
Yeah,
thinking. Yeah, my bad.
With you. Yo, man, look, man. It's an issue, man. We got a problem.
Because I'm thinking 1800s, and then I'm like 1900s. That's like a 100-year difference. My bad.
Yeah, but it was like 1896. Like he wrote the book in 1896, and then like prohibitions was like the 1920s. So it's about 25 years. And it's a process. It takes a process to get to the point where you're gonna ban it. So like I was saying, at that time, consuming alcohol was frowned upon. I mean, it'd be like gambling. Like today, like you got gambling on your phone. We just go do whatever we doing with the gambling. You place your bets in. All of this back then, 100 years ago, was frowned upon. I mean, 120, 25, 50 years ago. I mean, but that's what he's talking about. He's talking about the people consuming the alcohol and stuff. But anyway.
2,818 were males and 352 were females. Of those entering these salons at this time, in part carried away liquor, mostly beer in tin buckets. Of those thus visibly carrying away liquor, there were in all 719. Of these, 363 were Negroes and 356 were whites. 513 were males and 206 were females. The observers stationed near these salons saw in the 2 hours they were there 79 drunken persons. The general character of the salons and their frequenters can best be learned from the few typical reports. The numbers given are the official license numbers. Number 516, persons entering salons. Men, white, 40, Negro, 68. Women, white, 12, Negro, 12. Persons carrying liquor away. Men, white, 8, Negro, 16. Women, white, 1, Negro, 3. Drunken persons seen, 12. General character of salon and frequenters, a small corner salon, kept by a white man. The salon appears to be a respectable one and has 3 entrances, one on 13th Street and the 2 on a small court. The majority of the colored patrons are poor people and of the working class. The white patrons are, for the greater part, of the better class. Among the latter, very few were intoxicated. Number 488, persons entering. Men, white, 24, Negro, 102. Women, white, 2, Negro, 3. Carrying liquor away, 12. Drunken persons seen, 8. General character. The salon was none too orderly. Policemen remained there all the time. The Negro men entering were, as a rule, well-dressed. Perhaps 1/3 were laborers. The white men were well-dressed, but suspicious-looking characters. Number 515. Persons entering. Men, white, 81. Negro, 59. Women, white, 4. Negro, 10. Persons carrying liquor away. Men, white, 15. One a boy of 12 or 14 years of age. Negro, 11. Women, white, 4. Negro, 8. Drunken persons seen, 2. To 1 nothing was sold. General character of salon and frequenters. There were 2 Negro men and 7 white men in the salon when the count was started. The place has 3 doors, but all are easily observed. Trade is largely in distilled liquors, and a great deal is sold in bottles, a barrel shop. Number 527, persons entering salon. Drunken persons seen, none. General character of salon and frequenters, quiet, orderly crowd, quick trade, no loafing. 3 boys were among those entering. Number 484, persons entering salon. Men white, 70, Negro, 32. Women white, 10, Negro, 1. Persons carrying liquor away. Men white, 10, Negro, 12. Women white, 4, Negro, 0. Drunken persons seen, 11. 6 of whom were white and 5 black. I cannot say that the salon was responsible for all of them, but they were all in or about it. This salon is in the work slum section of the ward and is of bad character. Frequenters were a mixed lot, fast, tough, criminal, and besotted. Number 487, persons entering. Men white, 79, Negro, 129. Women white, 13, Negro, 34. Persons carrying liquor away. Men white, 15, Negro, 25. Women white, 5, Negro, 8. No drunken men seen. Frequented by a sharp class of criminals and loafers near the notorious Middle Alley. Number 525. Total Negroes entering 14, total whites entering 13. No loafers about the front of the salon. Streets well lighted and neighborhood quiet according to policemen. There was a barbershop next door and a salon on the corner 10 doors below. Very few drunken people were seen. Trade was most brisk between 8 and 9 o'clock. In 2 hours, 1 more Negro than white entered. 2 more Negroes, men than whites, carried away liquor. 1 white man, a German, returned 3 times for beer in the kettle. 2 Negro women carried beer away in kettles. 1 white woman, Irish, made 2 trips. All women entered by side door. The salon is under a residence 3 stories, corner of Waverly and 11th Street. Waverly Street has a Negro population which fairly swarms the position for Negro trade. Proprietor and assistant were both Irish. The interior of the salon was finished in white pine, stained to imitate cherry, extremely plain. Barkeeper said, "A warm night, but we are doing very well." One baker came in, a colored auntie. She wanted bread, not chin. Negroes were well dressed, as a rule, maybe smoking. The majority of the frequenters, by their bustling air and directness with which they found the place, showed long acquaintance with the neighborhood, especially this corner. Number 500, persons entering salon. Men white, 40, Negro, 73. Women white, 4, Negro, 6. Persons carrying liquor away. Men white, 6, Negro, 23. Women white, 5, Negro, 4. Drunken persons seen, 1. General character of salon and frequenters, 4-story building, late and neat. 3 entrances, iron awning, electric and well-stacked lights. Negroes generally tidy and appear to be pretty well-to-do. Whites not so tidy, as Negroes are generally mechanics. Almost all smoke cigars. Liquor carried away openly in pitchers and kettles. 3 of the white women carrying away liquor looked like Irish servant girls. Some of the Negroes carried bundles of laundry and groceries with them. Few general conclusions can be drawn from this data. The salon is evidently not so much a moral as an economic problem among Negroes. If the 1,586 Negroes who went into salons within 2 hours Saturday night spent 5 cents apiece, which is a low estimate, they spent $79.30. If, as is probable, at least $100 was spent that Saturday evening throughout the war, then in a year, we would not be wrong in concluding their Saturday night expenditure was at least $5,000, and their total expenditure could scarcely be less than $10,000, and it may reach $20,000, a large sum for poor people to spend in liquor. Section 43, the causes of crime and poverty. A study of statistics thinks.
Yeah, you heard it right there, and that's what I was talking about his class analysis of what's going on. This is Du Bois, and like even now when you hear people talk about what's going on in our communities, what's going on in the inner city, they often point to the fact that people are wearing Timberlands, people are wearing Nike sneakers, and they're saying like if they didn't do that, their conditions will change. I mean, and that's a class analysis about what's going on, because we all understand it's not what the sneakers that people is wearing that control the institutions that govern all of us. What sneakers we buy don't govern the school system, don't govern the police, don't control the corporations, how much they pay people. None of these things do that. But instead of addressing those core issues, the finger's always pointed at the people. Why are you wearing those sneakers? Why are you eating no food? Why are you going out to eat? Why are you doing all these things? They're pointing their finger at the people that have no ability to control how the society is structured. The way that our society, by and large, is structured, it's structured for you to go eat out. It's really cheaper to feed your family if you go get the 4 for 4. Time consuming. That's how the society has been structured to work. And the people that are in those spaces do not control the society. Do not control how the society is maintained or how it functions. But let me let them finish out. But that's what I'll be talking about when I say this, looking at our condition from a class perspective.
Cam,
All power to the people. What's up?
Comrade Cam have her hand up.
What's up, Cam?
Oh, I wanted to just say they demonize the people who wear the Nikes or go out to eat or get their nails done, but they are the ones that told them to go and do those things in the first place. They have convinced them that those are comforts, those are luxuries. So you're demonizing them for doing the very thing you influenced them, that you've trained them to do in the first place.
No, you're right. You're right. Now, because we live in a consumer society. I mean, the society is by and large put together for us to be consumers. We don't own, we can't own. That's not how the society functions. If we all own, there won't be no capitalism. Most of us have to be consumers. Good point, Cam.
Negroes exceeds that of the whites. That in the main, nevertheless, it follows in its rise and fall the fluctuations shown in the records of the whites, such as if crime increases among the whites, it increases among Negroes, and vice versa, with this peculiarity that among the Negroes, the change is always exaggerated.
Yeah, but and how many times have we heard this already? How many times have we heard this, like today, in our lives right now? I mean, like with anything that happened to white people, it happens to us worse, and that's what it's explaining. Whatever happened to white people in the 1890s, remember, 1890s. This is like what, 130 years ago. Whatever happened to white people back then, like black people caught it worse. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing now. They still say that now. People still say that now.
The increase greater, the decrease more marked in nearly all cases. This is what we would naturally expect. We have here the record of a low social class, and as the condition of a low class is by its very definition worse than that of a higher. So the situation of the Negroes is worse as respects crime and poverty than that of the masses of whites. Moreover, any change in social conditions is bound to affect the poor and unfortunate more than the rich and prosperous. We have, in all probability, an example of this in the increase of crime since 1890. We have had a period of financial stress and industrial depression. The ones who have felt this most are the poor, the unskilled laborers, the inefficient and unfortunate, and those with small social and economic advantages. The Negroes are in this class, and the result has been an increase in Negro crimes and pauperism. There has also been an increase in the crime of the whites, though less rapid by reason of their richer and more fortunate upper classes. So far then, we have no phenomena which are new or exceptional, or which present more than the ordinary social problems of crime and poverty, although these, to be sure, are difficult enough. Beyond these, however, there are problems which can rightly be called Negro problems. They arise from the peculiar history and condition of the American Negro. The first peculiarity is, of course, the slavery and emancipation of the Negroes.
All right, so remember, this is 1896. So you have to remember, this is a few years after slavery. Like today, like if you bring up slavery, racism, people are, oh, this guy throwing out there the race card, using the race card, you blaming on slavery. How you going to blame everything on slavery? Even back then, you couldn't really blame what was going on slavery. All right, now why does it affect poor people? Why would whatever happens in America negatively, why would it affect poor people more than somebody that's rich? Because rich people have infrastructure to be able to take care of themselves. Poor people have no infrastructure. They have, like, in coming out of slavery, they had nothing. They had no skills. They had no connections, no social credit. They had nothing, absolutely nothing to be able to protect themselves. And you just heard them talking about the economy, how bad the economy was. Like, it's the same thing we're going through now. And like, people be like, yo, why am I reading? What is reading all this stuff got to do with what's going on now in my life today? Why should I read? We are in tough times. Gas, in the last 4 weeks, gas went up over $1. I think more than $1. I was paying $2.40 because I got to fill the car up. We have an after-school program. I was paying $2.40 to fill up the truck. No, $2.40. $2.40 a gallon, and I was paying $60 to fill up the truck. Now when I fill it up with $60, it only goes like one stick above the halfway. I don't know what that's called, whatever. That ain't my specialty. But it goes one stick above halfway. But I used to fill up my whole tank with 60. So like in a month, the price of gas has gone up that much. Food has gone up. Housing has gone up. These times that we are living in are violent. They're violent to people that don't have no money, people that don't have the resources, that don't have the access to capital that rich people would have, or the infrastructure to be able to take care of themselves. So people catching hell now. People are going through this now. And what are the explanations? What are the solutions? What are people coming up to be able to deal with this? And that's why going back, reading, this, like if you just got here, if you're just walking in, this is the Philadelphia Negro. We're going to listen to a few more minutes of it, and then we're going to go on to like what we're going to talk about today. But we do this to understand what those before us dealt with and how they overcame it. So it's like we're not just here throwing, like, quoting stuff, quoting books, quoting. No, we're going to listen to the book. What did they actually say happened back then? And then we're going to make our analysis of that, comparing and contrasting it with today. So we got a couple more minutes. I mean, if you're just coming in, we got a couple, probably like 2-3 more, more than 3 minutes, probably like 4 or 5 minutes of this. Then we're going to move on with the rest of the show. I'm going to try not to cut it off. I'm going to shut up. Boy, talk to them, boys.
That their emancipation has raised them economically and morally is proven by the increase of wealth and cooperation and the decrease of poverty and crime between the period before the war and the period since. Nevertheless, this was manifestly no simple process. The first effect of emancipation was that of any Southern social revolution, a strain upon the strength and resources of the Negro, moral, economic, and physical, which drove many to the wall. For this reason, the rise of the Negro in the city is a series of rushes and backsliding, rather than continuous growth. The second great peculiarity of the situation of the Negroes is the fact of immigration. The great numbers of raw recruits who had from time to time precipitated themselves upon the Negroes of the city It shared their small industrial opportunities, has made reputations which, whether good or bad, all their race must share. And finally, whether they failed or succeeded in the strong competition, they themselves must soon prepare to face a new immigration. Here then, we have two great causes for the present condition of the Negro: slavery and emancipation with their attendant phenomena of ignorance, lack of discipline, and moral weakness.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. The slaves. This is what they came out of with slavery with. Lack of discipline and moral weakness. That's what he's saying the slaves had because of slavery. Like this is what they were dealing with. And then he's talking about immigration. He's talking about those that fled from the south and fled up north. He's calling them immigrants. Du Bois is calling those black people immigrants. Because from his class analysis, it wasn't like our people. Our people were fleeing servitude, slavery. These people were foreign because they were from down south. It wasn't on no pro-black, no culture thing. Now they're calling the immigrants the people that's coming from different countries, South America, Africa, wherever they're coming from. Those are the people that they call immigrants today. But back then, he was calling other black people immigrants. And they saw those black people fleeing from the south, running up here, coming up north. They saw those people as trying to take jobs, as messing up the culture that the bourgeois black people had created up in the north. Because most people don't understand. It was like people in Philly with like, I'm trying to remember what year it was when they freed the black people in Philly. I don't remember. I don't want to just throw out a name or a number out there. But they were free before 1865. I mean, there were places. It should be, most people should know that it was places in America that they didn't have bondage slavery during slavery time, where black people were free, and the Quakers had freed black people, what they call free, had freed black people in Philly earlier than 1865, and those people looked at the slaves that came up here as immigrants. They looked at them as coming up here, making them look bad, taking away jobs. I mean, that like this how you would say reactionary white people look at immigrants, even black people, reactionary black people. How people look at the people that are against the immigrant population now. The same way they looked at immigrants is the way how Du Bois is describing them. And we in chapter 14. You got to listen to the rest of the chapters on how we talk about these people. Our ancestors, our culture, our people, the diaspora, how he's talking about them, how this class of people saw those that were at the bottoms. At the bottom, now what am I talking about, bottoms?
Immigration with its increased competition and moral influence. To this must be added a third as great, possibly greater in influence than the other two, namely the environment in which a Negro finds himself, the world of custom and sort in which he must live and work, the physical surrounding of house and home and ward, the moral encouragement and disencouragement which he encounters. We deeply seek to define the social environment harshly when we talk of color prejudice, but this is but a vague characterization. What we want to study is not a vague thought or feeling, but its concrete manifestation. We know pretty well what the surroundings are of a young white lad or a foreign immigrant.
Yeah, I saw your hand up, General Secretary. I was going to wait to finish this out before I hit you. But go ahead. What you wanted to say?
No, I was speaking to your point that there was areas in America that where people were free before the emancipation. And because when I was reading this chapter and they talking about who all attend the bars and the saloons and stuff,
Jamie Scott.
And I'm like, and they're talking about white people coming in, black people coming in. But in my sociological imagination, I'm thinking like, how are they going to the same bars together when they're supposed to be separated at that time period. But then you explain, there was places where slavery had, there was free slaves. So in that society, they were commingling and socializing together as opposed to other areas where they were completely separated. So I just wanted to point that out.
All power to the people. No, because it's a lot of stuff about that time that we really don't know because we're not properly taught. Like even me and my mom sometimes, I just be thinking like everybody was a slave. There was slaves all back then. But you don't think that there were black people that owned slaves. And that's important to the conversation we're going to have today about capitalism. During slavery time, you had black people that owned other black people because they participated in that system. And then you had a class of black people that justified slavery, that justified that system. I mean, and you've always had those people, they've always been around. But mute yourself if you just came in. I'm hearing rumblings back there. I'm about to put it back on. Let's try to finish this out.
Who comes to this great city to join in its organic life. We know what influences and limitations surround him, to what he may attain, what his companionships are, what his encouragements are, what his drawbacks. This we must know in regard to the Negro if we would study his social conditions. His strange social environment must have immense effect on his thought and life, his work and crime, his wealth and pauperism. That this environment differs broadly from the environment of his fellows, and we all know, but we do not know just how it differs. The real foundation of the difference is the widespread feeling all over the land, in Philadelphia as well as in Boston and New Orleans, that the Negro is something less than an American and ought not to be much more than what he is. Argue as we may for or against this idea, we must as students recognize its presence and its vast effect. At the Eastern Penitentiary, where they seek so far as possible to attribute to definite causes the criminal record of each prisoner, the vast influence of environment is shown. This estimate is naturally liable to error, but the peculiar system of this institution and the long service and wide experience of the warden and his subordinates gives it a peculiar and an unusual value. Of the 541 Negro prisoners previously studied, 191 were cataloged as criminals by reason of natural and inherent depravity. The others were divided as follows: crimes due to this rough judgment of men who have come into daily contact with 500 Negro criminals, but emphasizes the fact alluded to, the immense influence of his peculiar environment on the black Philadelphians, the influence of homes badly situated and badly managed, with parents untrained for their responsibilities, the influence of social surroundings, which by poor laws and inefficient administration leave the bad to be made worse, the influence of economic exclusion, which admits Negroes only to those parts of the economic world where it is hardest to retain ambition and self-respect. And finally, that indefinable but real and mighty moral influence that causes men to have a real sense of manhood or leads them to lose aspirations and self-respect. For the last 10 or 15 years, young Negroes have been pouring into this city at the rate of 1,000 a year. The question is then what homes they find or make, what neighbors they have, how they amuse themselves, and what work they engage in. Again, into what sort of homes are the hundreds of Negroes' babies of each year born? Under what social influences do they come? What is the tendency of their training, and what places in life can they fill? To answer all these questions is to go far toward finding the real causes of crime and pauperism among this race. The next two chapters, therefore, take up the question of environment.
All power to the people. So we're done with that. We're done with this section for this week. And look, next week, take up the question of environment. And that's big. That's big. That's the question of all of all time. That's the question out there. So like the question is it the environment or is it the individual? I mean, like that's the biggest question of all time. Like according to Marx's theory, I
think they call it nature versus nurture or something like that.
Yeah, but like when we talking about Marxism, because we are Marxists, as Panthers, we are Marxists. When we talk about Marxism, and we I'm trying to explain like Hegel and Marx, because Marx got his ideas of what I'm talking about. I think it's called oh my God. But anyway, the idea was the main idea is the environment basically is the one that changes people, that dictates what somebody thinks, what they know, how they turn out. It is not in their mind. It is not them themselves that is the problem. I mean, it is not basically. It is. I'm trying not to say it, but I gotta say it. It's not religion. It is not, because according to religion, like everything is the word. From the word, this, that, whatever. So it's all in you. If you believe in God, if you strive to do this, your life will go a certain way. If you don't do that, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, I mean, if you don't go to school, if you don't go to college, if you don't get a good education, if you don't do all these things, I mean, it's you. You're the problem. And then the other side of the argument is the way how the world is constructed. The institutions in the world, the reality in the world, the material conditions in the world is what dictate by and large how somebody turns out or their reality. And that's a debate back and forth. I mean, but it's really not a debate because scientifically, it's the material conditions that produces the people that are here. You don't just come in. Everybody comes in here with a blank slate. You don't know how to speak English. You don't know how to do nothing. You learn everything. You learn about being selfish. You learn everything. It's like your brain is like a computer. I mean, so everything that you consume here, by and large, dictate who you're going to be. I mean, that's the argument. That's the side of the argument that we fall on as Panthers. We don't believe none of this is our fault. It's your fault that you did it. That is the way that you think, the way that you move, the sneakers that you wear. That's why people are getting thrown out their homes. Now, we don't believe none of that. That's why people can't find a place to stay. That's why healthcare is so expensive. That's why people got to work 3 jobs to survive. We don't believe that. It is not the individual. It is the way how the society has been constructed to function. You want to ask your question? You got a question? Where you at? Somebody just sent me a message. They said they had a question. What's your question? You here?
And put your hand up or chime in if you have a question. You don't have to. You can just interrupt. It's okay.
But I don't know if they could come on. I don't know how they're listening to it. Can they even go in the group chat? I got a question. Why can't it be in tandem? I called in. Oh, okay. I think when you call in, what you got to press? Star what? You got to press star something to speak.
Star 6. I think star 6 or star
you got
something.
You got to press star 6.
Or he can type it in the. Oh no, I don't know.
No, he sent me the question. But anyway, he said, I got a question. Why can't it be in tandem? Like, why can't you do both? Why can't it be the stuff that's here, what's going on, and why can't it be the individual themselves? That's a good question, and that's what Hegel said. Hegel that influenced Karl Marx. That's basically what he said. He said it was both of them working in tandem. And I think even Marx alluded to it's kind of like that, but it's really not like that. Yo, I'm straight down the middle with it. If you didn't have these institutions here, they wouldn't produce the people that we see outside. I wouldn't be speaking English if these institutions were not here. So it doesn't matter what I know, what I think in my mind. None of that matters. If there were not institutions here or anything here to teach me English, the books were not here, none of it here. Yo, I'm not just going by and large, because there are no absolutes. But you're not just going to learn English just to learn it. Just like I don't know Chinese. Just like I'm not walking around speaking Chinese because I'm not what you call it. I'm not what. Or that stuff is not what. It's not accessible to me. If it's not accessible, you're not going to know it. Your conditions, your material conditions, by and large, dictate your reality. I mean, so like I don't know if I answered that well enough for you, but to me, that's how I see it. I don't agree with Hegel, and that's a whole another show that I got to do. Hegel, Marx. Anyway, that's a whole different show. But without the material conditions, none of this will be existed. Like that's why they need the politicians. They need the politicians.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I kind of disagree. I don't think we all come here with a blank slate. I think the Black Americans that's here are at a slight disadvantage because our identities were stolen. Our sense of self was broken. Whereas if you come from Haiti, they have a self, they have an identity. They know what it is to be a community. That was broken from much years ago. So when they get here, they will live together. They will thrive together. They will pool their money together. Whereas the Black Americans that's here was taught not to do that. So the immigrants are at a slight disadvantage. The Spanish people that come here, they will pool their money together. They will stick together. They had a sense of togetherness. That was broken. That was broken much years ago. Decades ago, that has been broken for us. They don't know how it is to grow up without a father because they by and large come from a community where their mother and their father are around. Whereas they didn't go through the 94 crime days. They didn't go through the crack era. When they get here, they have a sense of togetherness. So they are at a slight advantage, in my opinion, than we are.
Nah, well understood, Mark. Yeah, that's your name, Mark. That's the name you chose for yourself, Mark. I like Mark. But I take this out, Mark. No, but you're right. You're right. But
Chairman.
Go ahead.
Sorry, because he made your point while making his point. He said that they don't have the same, I guess, tradition, cultural, like the family-oriented, stick together, work for yourself. He said they were taught that. But then he said we don't come in here with a blank slate. Obviously, they had a blank slate if they had to be taught that. So that's my only disagreement. People in Haiti, because I remember years ago we watched this video and the reporter was asking like this 4-year-old child about America and stuff, and she was like, no, we don't want America in our country. We hate America because, they're imperialists. They kill people. And she was 4 years old. They are taught from a young age about the world they live in. And I agree with the gentleman. Our kids aren't taught that. We aren't taught that. So, yes, we come in here as a blank slate, and we're taught everything we know. And that's how we move about in this world. Just like that little girl in Haiti. From 4 years old, she already know about imperialism. Our 4-year-olds here, we don't know that. They don't know nothing about that.
Nah, and that's I was trying to find a more politically correct way to say it. But if you don't know, you don't know. If the people that you're talking about, they do know. They may come here from wherever they're coming from, and when they come here, they understand from where they're coming from. Stuff that they have to deal with over there, and they understand how they have to pull their resources together for them to be able to survive. But because they learned that, they didn't just wake up one day. They all just woke up and automatically understood they had to share their resources. And the argument is it the conditions that dictate how people move, or is it something within them? Is it the individual himself that dictate how society moves? I mean, what you said was that they come here, they know how to work together because they learned that. They were not born all just knowing that automatically. And it's the circumstances to the community that created that. I mean, I hope we got I don't know. Mark, what do you think, Mark? Did we answer that, Mark? Go ahead, comrade. No, go ahead, Mark.
Yes and no.
Okay, where's the no part?
Because I think the way Black Americans and other Black people from around the world are different is because we are taught to, the oppressor has, they are so deep into our system, into the way we think, that it's been taught from a child. An example. Well, I just thought about this when you said it. Slavery. How Black people own slaves. Now, who told us that? The oppressor, somebody, they had to tell us that to soften the blow of, well, see, slavery wasn't that bad because even Black people owned slaves. That can be compared to today, where capitalism isn't bad because the little kids that's in the sweatshop, how are they any different from the manager at the store? They aren't. They both are in the same system. It's just that they get paid. One gets treated worse than the other, but it's the same system. Whereas slavery, that's what they called it. You could have had Black slave owners, but were they treating the slaves in the same condition as the white slave owners? Was that Black slave owner out there in the field helping the slaves, or was he out there whipping the slaves? I don't know. I don't know that part of it.
You said was that Black? You said was that Black person what?
Out there in the field with the slaves, or was he whipping the slaves?
No, he was no. He was like all other slave owners. He had slaves that he used to make money. That's how the slave man. Just like corporations, it's like corporations now. Like Black corporations don't pay you better than white corporations. They're not like, man, you Black, bro. Just because you Black, man, I'm paying you $30 an hour. It don't work that way. They're going to pay you the same 12, 13, 15, whatever they pay everybody else is paying. Or when you rent an apartment, they're not going to be like, because you my brother. Like, I mean, like, nah, I'm going to give it to you for like $1,000 while everybody else is paying $2,000, $2,500. Nah, the capitalists back then, the Black capitalists back then were just like the white capitalists. I mean, they exploited the people so they could make their money. But today we going here, man. What we talking about today, man? What we talking about? We talking about there was an interview on the Joe Budden podcast, and they were having a discussion about capitalism. I mean, and how that.
1 second, Chairman, before you move on, because she might be talking on the same point. Cam has her hand up.
Go ahead, Cam. My bad, Cam. Thank you, General Secretary.
If that's okay. I don't want to interrupt the show.
Interrupting the show. We're having a conversation. I want everybody to feel free to talk. Go ahead, Cam.
I was going to say I lived abroad for over a decade in a few different places, in Saudi, in Oman, in Africa, and in Asia. And I learned another language. I learned another language after that. And it was eye-opening because I could see how much of my conversation, how much of my thinking was a product of the time and the place where I was born. And it's something, yes, I got to study in school or I got to learn about, I got to think about, but I didn't really truly understand that until I lived somewhere else. And I had to completely immerse myself in this new way of life, this new way of being. And I remember sitting with our teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, and talking about, what that is like, how different it is. People in Thailand were calling themselves Black. They viewed themselves as Black. They thought they were the same as me, some of them. And I had to realize they have an idea of their identity, and it is totally a product of their own history. And they're reaching out and identifying with me, and if I were to keep holding on to this sort of thinking that I've been immersed in my own home country, if you want to call it that, this place that they brought me to, I wouldn't be able to understand why they would connect with me that way, why they would have this view of their identity, why it didn't align with the view of what identity is, what being Black is, what being a human is. what pain is, what suffering is. If you notice, a lot of our conversation, it has to do with what we know here in America, if you're from here, or what you know if you're from Haiti, or what you know if you're from Saudi, because that's all that you know until you learn something else, until you can go out there and experience it. It's an experience. It's a human experience. And it varies, but my teacher was saying, not to be religious or anything, I don't consider this a religion, but he was saying that there's something called the wheel of Dharma. It's a wheel of suffering. And the idea of meditation isn't to sit there and clear your mind and be quiet. It's about leaving this wheel of suffering. And all of these ideas and these notions and these things that people hold on to that create this identity, it holds you back from leaving the suffering behind. It holds you back from looking at it from a bird's eye view. Like we said last time, you're stuck in a stream. And instead of stepping out to breathe, you just swim against it. Or you swim in a different direction. And you think that you're free, but you're not, because you never stepped out to breathe.
All power to the people. That's deep. You gave me a lot to think about. So I got to later on cut this and listen to what you said again and try to think about it more for I could even have a reply. Now, but that's deep right there. You said it was the meditation is about stepping off the wheel.
There's something in Buddhism called the wheel of Dharma, the wheel of karma. A lot of people think karma is you do something bad happens to you. But karma is everything. It's every little thing that's ever happened that's brought you to this very single moment. It wouldn't have been here without everything happening. You couldn't have been here if your mother didn't meet your father. You couldn't have been here if somebody wasn't brought here. You couldn't have been here if somebody immigrated here. You couldn't have been here if there was a war and they had survived and blah, blah, blah. It's all connected. But it is all a part of human suffering. It's a part of a wheel. And all of the things that we talk about and the ideas that we have, they're not bad. It's just a part of this wheel. When you step out of the wheel, you step away and you take a bird's eye view of humanity, of everything. And you see how small some of this is. You see how far outside you are from it. Oh, you're removed from that. So when you react to people, you're really, truly understanding them as a human being, why they would be saying those things, why they would believe those things. You're able to be compassionate. You're able to sit here and think and how to work with that person, how to flow with that person rather than react to them, because you are coming from a place of real, true bird's eye view understanding. You're out of the wheel of suffering.
More power to the people. I'm not even going to add nothing to that. Now, but we'll talk about that later, comrade. We'll talk about that later. That's deep right there. But let me go back to this. But what you call it? This is a Bad Faith podcast with Brianna Joy Gray. That's a sister right here, and she brought this brother on. She's about to introduce him. This video, she's just gonna introduce the people that's on this that's here with her, and then we're gonna move on because they're talking about the Joe Budden podcast, and they were talking about capitalism. And I want to hurry up and get to that.
All-star panel of Black socialists assembled for you here today to take on one of the most...
Man, she called them Black socialists. All of them, they're supposed to be Black socialists, and they're here talking about Black capitalism. We're going to talk about that in a minute, Black socialism.
Viral clips of the last week or so, you might have caught it. Mark Lamont Hill, who seems to be the lone socialist over on the Joe Budden podcast, a very popular...
Mark Lamont Hill, the journalist. She's calling him a socialist as well.
What do you call it, Black Culture podcast, I guess you would call it, erupted into a conversation about socialism versus capitalism, and basically got Black Twitter in a total firestorm about the definition of these terms and whether or not Black folks should be defending the likes of Jay-Z, who is the quintessential Black billionaire who provokes this entire conversation. And so to talk about this subject with us today on Bad Faith Podcast is Paul Prescott. You know him as a contributing editor to Jacobin Magazine and a staffer at Labor Notes. Welcome, Paul.
Great to be here.
You have Professor Jared Ball, who is a professor of Africana and Media Studies at Morgan State and also the host of podcast I Mix What I Like. Welcome back, Dr. Ball.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, returning to Bad Faith Podcast after quite some time, we have Q Anthony Ali, who is a freelance writer from our neighbor to the north, but no longer based in Canada, right?
No longer based in Canada. I'm in Beijing, China now.
Well, it's even more of an honor for us to have you then, knowing that you have to wake up so early in the morning to be able to listen to you.
All right, so when I'm getting an analysis from somebody, I like to know who they are, because who they are, what they do, all of this impacts the analysis on what they're telling me. So he's with the Jacobin magazine. That's what would you call that? That's a liberal. You would call it a liberal organization. Excuse me. If anybody knows, General Secretary, look up who owns Jacobin. It is not no poor people. It ain't us. We don't own it. He work in the universities. He work at Morgan State. That's another institutionalist organization. Remember, your analysis is going to be filtered through what you do and where you work at. And this another brother, he's in China somewhere, and she said he's a freelance journalist, but I have to go in to go see who he worked for, like what he's been doing his whole life. But she's saying these are socialists. But what makes them socialist? Because they say they're socialist? Because they all work in capitalist institutions. They all work to maintain capitalist institutions. That's what they do. They do not work in socialist institutions. They're not trying to bring about socialism. So like when you tell me like you a socialist, I need to understand, how are you a socialist? How are you trying to bring about socialism? Is the work that you do towards socialism? But like to me, like keep it a buck with you, these people are not socialism from what I know of them. I mean, they're not erecting, building no socialist institution. They're not doing none of that. But we're going to go on with the conversation because they're here critiquing Joe Biden and them. I want to get to this critique.
There's some interesting psychology. I was really wrestling with the psychology. Like, why you guys kept getting so sort of angry and personalizing? There was like a kind of a wound that kept rising. They were triggered by something. Mark is basically telling them, hey, the problems in the world and the problems that have been specific or disproportionate to the black community are not actually your fault. You're not stupid. You're not a monkey. You're not avaricious. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's a systemic issue that's been preventing you from achieving the American dream.
And let's stop it right there. She's saying that Mark Lamont Hill is on the show, and he's saying to the other panelists on the show that capitalism has been exploiting you. It's not your fault what capitalism has been doing. I mean, like, you are being exploited by the system. Like, she's saying this is what Mark is saying to them. Like, why are they so hostile to it? I don't agree with her. I don't believe Mark is talking about them. Because those people on that couch, those people there that are sitting there on that Joe Button podcast, including Joe Button's, these are middle management people. These are petty bourgeois. These are not the people at the bottom of the social economic ladder that are being exploited by the capitalist state. Yeah, they're still being exploited by the big fish on top of them, but they're part of the exploitation too. And she's trying to figure out, like, why are they so upset at Mark? Why are they not agreeing with Mark? And I argue because they see themselves as the capitalist. And I'm going to go into this right now. And we could have a discussion. We don't even need to finish the video. We could stop it right here. We could have a discussion right here. You know, those people sitting on that couch, their whole masculinity, their manhood, everything that they see themselves to be is tied to their bank account. It's tied to the capitalism. Them thinking that they're capitalists or they want to be capitalism. They want to be capitalist. That is how they see reality. And when you're saying there's something wrong with billionaires, there's something wrong with capitalists, they see themselves as capitalists. So they're looking at you like, what do you mean there's something wrong with me? They're not looking at it trying to judge the capitalist system. They understand the money that they have, the superficial, the material stuff that they have is what make them the men that they are. And by attacking capitalism, you're really attacking them. You're saying they're exploitative. They exploit people. And they're looking at it like, no, we do not exploit people. They refuse to accept that they're part of the system. General Secretary, let me know if anybody got their hand up. I want somebody to tell
I was just going to say one thing. Do you have that quick video of Mark Lamont Hill talking to them on the couch?
Let me see if I could, let me see. Oh, Jesus. Let me see real quick. I do have it. I do have some of the video here. Let me see. Let's try this one.
I don't think anyone should exist. You believe it? Shit. That's what I'm saying. Why shouldn't they exist? Why shouldn't they? They worked hard. They worked hard for their money. And if you are really good at what you do, you should receive the benefits from that.
You create something that is that profitable, you create some type of organization or some type of business structure that actually takes advantage. I also want to just bring back to what Hope said too. He didn't get there by taking advantage of somebody or by finding some loopholes and exploiting it. No, that's what I'm saying. I just want to if you look back at his story, he pioneered a lot of that stuff, a lot of the decisions and different things that he was doing. That's not taking advantage of people. What? Something practice drug addict to your community is taking advantage of what you could deem as taking advantage of somebody and somebody else may look at as survival. So you survive by taking advantage of people. They're not supplying the man. Yeah, if you supply something, you can be. Yeah, literally, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, so, Ibrahim, like, you don't think they understand what he's saying?
Yeah, I think they understand what he's saying. I just don't think they understand Jay-Z and black capitalism. I don't know if you can, but like on my Facebook or my YouTube or any one of my social media platforms, I got like a 90-second video kind of explaining the history of grown man Jay-Z, right? I don't know if you can pull it up, but one thing I have an issue with about a lot of these conversations is that first they like have these conversations with fans, right? With like truly people that are fanatics of the people they're talking about. So you're never going to get like an actual balanced argument, right, with somebody who's like just amazed at this person. Another thing is that, and this is just my opinion, Mark Lamont Hill never talks to anybody who has the capacity to actually challenge his thoughts and ideas, right? Mark Lamont Hill intellectually is always superior to the person he's talking to, not because he's intellectually superior, because he chooses who he wants to have these conversations with, right? He's always talking to people who don't know nothing. And just like, that's what I see in this conversation. But I don't think these people actually know Jay-Z. And in the conversation, they never brought up any specific examples of how, like when Jay-Z was talking to that kid in the GQ interview, he's just talking to him. That kid's amazing. He's hanging on to every word Jay-Z says, and there's never no pushback. There's never no, well, what happened with Barney's with Stop and Frisk? Why did you still do the thing with Barney's? What happened with Dame Dash and Pro Kids where he said he wanted to do ownership, and then you turned around and signed a Reebok deal with, the S. Dot Carter deal with Reebok just to have your face there. Like all of the times you stab people in the back. What happened to all them raps about Tidal being black owned and how we need to be black owned, and if you don't, you're a Dumbo this, and then you show who works for Tidal, and it's just a whole bunch of others. It's just two black people in the room, and that's you and your wife, right? Like nobody pushes back on him about these things. If anything, they like to go back to the Jay-Z who sold dope. And I don't think that's fair, right? At that part in time, he was just an oppressed person of the system who made lemons out of lemonade. And I truly don't believe he was any big-time drug dealer anyway, because if you read the story, it was never his money that started Rockefeller. It was the other guy, right? So, like, he was just a rapper, right? But, like, he just wants to go back to that and kind of, like, create this myth and allure of, oh, no, I came from nothing to something. I'm just this genius businessman who don't even have a high school diploma who figured out a way to make billions of dollars. but nobody actually gets into the actual dealings, right? Behind his actual dealings, and like, oh, I'm the face of all of these alcohol companies, and come to find out, he was just a brand ambassador, right? Nobody talks about all of this stuff. And like, if Mark Lamont Hill is going to be the intellectual on the show, those are the questions that he would have to bring up. But you can't bring them up with fans. That's my thing. Like, all of these conversations, you would actually have to be talking to somebody who can actually understand where you're coming from, know something about this, so this isn't the first time they're hearing it, and be able to challenge you. Joe Budden podcast, to me, is like they just dumb everything down. And that's why I don't listen to it. It's just like important topics for idiots.
All positive people. No, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I don't even want to. I don't want to jump the gun because Jared Ball is going to allude to reasons why you can't have these conversations there. But I really want to focus in on their energy because everybody there, all of them, even down to Joe Budden, to these people sitting on the couch, they are against the idea of like being against billionaires. They're against that idea that we need billionaires because these people sitting up there, they're not, by and large, they're not the normal person outside struggling. These people are part of the industry. These people are part of the entertainment world. They got businesses. These people, like, I want to say they're probably capitalists. Most of these people probably, some of them have real estate, I believe. I have real estate that they have real estate that they're renting out, that they have people. These people are not the average people outside working all day, working 2-3 jobs, trying to pay rent. By and large, that's not who they are. And Mark Lamont Hill being in this space, he's allowed in this space. They would not bring Africa onto this space because what Africa would say will counter to the people that fund this podcast.
Well,
go ahead, Mark.
I got two things.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is that will make Mark Lamont Hill a capitalist by choosing to go on the street.
That would make Mark Lamont Hill what? And your phone is breaking up. That would make Mark Lamont Hill what?
A capitalist.
A capitalist?
Simply by him choosing to go on spaces where he can capitalize off the ignorance of other people.
But is that what a capitalist is?
Yeah. For someone to go into a space and capitalize off their ignorance. So by him going into all the spaces where he knows he's the most intellectual person in the room, he's capitalizing. He's making money from that. He's making money from being on the Joe Budden show. He know that they got a big platform. He know that they are intellectual ignorant, and he's gonna profit from it.
But capitalizing on that space or that situation doesn't make him a capitalist. To be a capitalist, you have to own industry. You have to we saying here, I got an iPhone in my hand. Hello?
I'm listening.
Yeah, it's like saying I have a cell phone in my hand. For me to be a capitalist, I got to be able to have a shop where the cell phone is being made at. I got to be able to afford the tools, afford the workers, afford all the people to fix the cell phone. Then I got to be able to distribute that. I mean, I'm a man of industry. Like I'm a capitalist. But if just me being able to buy a phone or being able to capitalize on the fact that I got a phone to have a podcast or whatever, that don't make me a capitalist. I mean, there are rules to what being a capitalist is, and most people really don't understand that. They just think capitalist is participating in the system of capitalism. They think that's what it means to be a capitalist. If you buy stuff, if you go to the store, if you spend money, there's an illusion of what capitalism is. And we live in a capitalist society. Why don't we know what capitalism is? Let me finish this video out, then I'm gonna go back to let those other people talk. Because everything that we're talking about, they're talking about it. I want us to go off what they're saying.
Yeah, that's not what made a billionaire, though. That's what I'm saying, though. So y'all make like 10 arguments. Let me respond to a couple. Listen to this. I'm gonna break it. Simplify it. If I start a T-shirt line, right, and I sell $10 T-shirts, and I sell 100 million T-shirts, I'm a billionaire. Now we can go say, yo, yeah, you made this money off these T-shirts, but there's somebody in Pakistan, or there's somebody in Portugal, or there's somebody in China that may be working under adverse conditions that are not United States standards, and so as a result of that, you are still, I guess, taking advantage of somebody. Like, if that's the case, then anybody that reaches...
Well, you basically understand what he's saying. I mean, so if he makes T-shirts, and let's say he getting them from Bangladesh, and they're using people down there to work in those factories in Bangladesh, even though it's a capitalist state, and that capitalist state is using the policies and making laws to enable them to use somebody to make them make that T-shirt for like 50 cents. He's saying, yo, me being over here, like, I am not, what you call it, exploiting nobody. Like, that's how the system is set up over there to function. And because it's set up over there to function the way it does, that has nothing to do with me. You're rationalizing. You're rationalizing it away. You're trying to rationalize what you've done and say, like, it's okay for you to be able to sleep at night. But in truth, yo, that whole capitalist system, because it's global now. I'm going to say it again, the capitalist system is global. Almost anywhere you go in the world, there's capitalism there. And that took generations for that to happen, for those systems to be set up, to be able to exploit people on anywhere on the planet. Just so somebody else like him, I think his name is Ish, that has enough money to be able to go buy the T-shirts, make the T-shirts, and then have somebody in Bangladesh making the T-shirts for him, and then be able to distribute those T-shirts and become a millionaire. You're part of that system. There's no way to shake it. You're part of the exploitative system. Even though you didn't whip nobody, you didn't do nothing. Yo, you're using that system that's in place to benefit yourself. I'm going back if anybody want to say something. So let me see. Let's see here.
That's being raised with tough love. I mean, let's be real.
No. Let me see.
It's an interesting psychology. I was really wrestling with the psychology. Like, why you guys kept getting so sort of angry and personalizing? There was like a kind of a wound that kept rising. They were triggered by something. Mark is basically telling them, hey, the problems in the world and the problems that have been specific or disproportionate to the black community are not actually your fault. You're not stupid. You're not a monkey. You're not avaricious. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's a systemic issue that's been preventing you from achieving the American dream. And you don't have to beat yourself up about the fact that you're not Jay-Z. Jay-Z is hardly Jay-Z. Jay-Z is unbelievably anomalous. It's like hoping that you wake up with the voice of a Mariah Carey. That can't be the way we all think we're going to survive. Release yourself from judgment and come this other way. And when Bernie did this in 2016, I remember that it felt like a national catharsis where people, remember when he did that, like, you know, the town hall, the healthcare town hall, and all these people who were kind of insecure about talking about how they couldn't provide health care for their families suddenly were like, oh, what do you mean? Like, it doesn't have to be this way. I'm not a bad father because I can't provide health care for my family. I always analogize it to that scene in Good Will Hunting when, you know, Robin Williams had Matt Damon and said, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Not your fault. Yeah.
Oh, my God. It wasn't just my moral failing. Everybody just didn't work hard enough. But they have the opposite reaction. They want to be Jay-Z. Like, they feel like they're being robbed of something by being told that it's very unlikely they're going to be Jay-Z, but there's something else they can be.
Because they're capitalist. That's why they're upset. They're capitalists, and they hear this in their lives every day. You know, but like, if you don't understand who Brianna Joy Gray is, you really don't understand why she sees it the way she sees it and why she's looking at them like that. You know, Brianna Joy Gray, I think she went to Harvard. She's a lawyer. She grew up in a middle-class family. I think her family, like, traveled the world, whatever. But anyway, she grew up there. She's not on the same level as a Joe Biden. She didn't grow up like a Joe Biden. You know, she looks down at people like Joe Biden. She look at them like they're beneath her, like culturally. I mean, that people like Joe Biden and the people that are on that stage, they're us. She look at them. She thinks she doesn't understand these people sitting on that couch, like own businesses. They're part of the system exploiting other people, even Joe Biden's. So like if you go and challenge that system, if you challenge capitalism, you're challenging their manhood. And they have to defend it. They have to defend being a millionaire. They have to defend trying to be a millionaire. Because if they stop defending that, then why are they so arrogant on that stage? What makes them be a man? What gives them their manhood? And I think that's something like that she's missing out on, that she can't see it because she's not with those people. She doesn't understand those people because even though she's black, like all of us, it's a class war. We're in a class war, goddammit. That's what Fred Hampton said. And her perspective on everything that's going on is from a class perspective. And theirs is from a capitalist perspective. They're trying to be capitalists. They believe they're capitalists. That's what they do. They exploit people in their lives. And if you're trying to attack that, you're attacking their manhood. I mean, and so after she asked the question, why are they being so reactionary? This is what he said. This is supposed to be the smart people, the socialist people. Listen to his answer.
That's being raised with tough love. I mean, let's be real with ourselves. If you're a black person, and this isn't just for the U.S., Canada, it's pretty much anywhere else in the world, you're generally told that there's always something wrong with what you're doing. You have this drive to be good enough. We're told that we have to be twice as good to get half as far. And I think, I mean, on the one hand, it is positive motivation to know that, yeah, the odds are stacked against you, but you can still.
But what that got to do with why they're behaving like that? Ibrahim, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like, well, first with Brianna Joy Gray, she asked the longest questions, right? And I think that's intentional because she's always trying to prove like, hey, I went to Harvard, hey, I'm smart, give me a pat on the back. I don't know why she asked. It's like when she's interviewing somebody, she wants to like get into like this intellectual like duel with them so they can say, hey, you're pretty smart too. And nobody cares. Just interview the people. She also grew up in Germany. I don't know if she was a military brat, but her and Sabby Fab was having a conversation once about how they both lived in Germany and how they both lived in North Carolina in an affluent black neighborhood that was really just like one or two streets, but they made it to be a whole neighborhood. So there's definitely like this, even when you hear her and she talks about herself and she talks about working for Bernie Sanders, one thing that Tim Black said is that they was trying to push liberal policies and call it a black agenda. So when you see people like her, like Mehdi Hassan, like Tucker Carlson, Joyanne Reed, all of these people who got fired and then took a more left or a more liberal black approach, right? It's just because they're not getting a check no more. But yeah, one thing about this conversation, and we all know from Kanye West, right? He went from like 2-3 billion to like 500-600 million overnight. That's because he's not a capitalist. That's because he doesn't own the means of production. But they are black capitalists. I call them baby capitalists, right? They are like gatekeepers to the black community or whatever community that they service for actual capitalists. That's why everything Jay-Z do, you'll see Jack Dorsey behind him. Jack Dorsey is the actual capitalist. He actually owns means to production, right? He's a full-fledged billionaire that used to own Twitter before it was sold to Elon Musk. But like, they're not full-fledged capitalists, but like in some instances they're worse, right? Because while you don't get all of the benefits of being somebody who owns means to production and owns industry, what you do is you lie to your own people, right? And you gatekeep. That's why I also think a lot of these people on this platform can't be honest, right? As black people who are striving to be in this system, right, they can't really full-fledged come down on Jay-Z, right, because they may need a Jay-Z or a Spike Lee or, you know, or a Oprah to be able to get them where they want to get, right? Like, that's the long game for a lot of the stuff that they're doing. They only turn radical when they get fired and it's like, oh, the light at the end of the tunnel has completely went out. I'm not going to be what I thought I was going to be. Let me go ahead and take this radical route because I can get some donations that way, right? It just becomes a grift after that part. But, like, I thought they would define capitalism and then define black capitalism so we could actually see, like, no, these people aren't capitalists, but they do work for capitalists. And their job is to exploit their own community and like, sell them this dream that this could be you too. She said something about Jay-Z being special. Jay-Z isn't special. There's nothing special about this guy, right? He does what, like, a bunch of, like, you could go to Philly and on every other house you'll probably find somebody that could rap. The only difference was policy and the connections that he had and the things that he would do that other people wouldn't do that allowed him to get to this point. I mean, he was selling people out where still in the hip-hop industry there was this thing about brotherhood and about, standing up for your crew and the people that was around you and being real to the community that you came from, right? And he was talking about Ace of Spades and Platinum and Diamond, and you could tell, like, he just wanted to be somewhere else, right? Not from the community that he came from. So he was just one of the first to sell out, right? And, like, try to sell this idea mainstream. But, like that's my important takeaway from this is just that I thought they would define, like, the definition so people could actually see what they're arguing for and against.
All power to the people. All power to the people.
Just a little by J.B.
Hold on, Chairman.
Go ahead.
You may get to those clips, but some of the people on the Joe Budden show, they do, wrongly so, define capitalism. But that is featured in there.
In where? In the show?
Yeah, in Joe Budden's show. I think it was the guy with the gray sweatsuit. He owns real estate too. He was talking about what capitalism is. I mean, he was hitting some of the points, but he was defining it where it was convenient for him.
Yeah, we can find those clips and put them up.
I thought they were in there. They're in there, but I thought they were in there.
I'm gonna get to it.
Let me. A bunch of clips.
Got you.
My being very, very rich has nothing to do with him being very, very poor. The more we talk, the more I feel like all anybody should do is do the Marx theory of labor table talk. Because everything just seems to come back around to that, like the zero-sum aspect of that, like zero is profit just coming from somewhere, and it's coming from labor, and it's not coming from the guy who bought the wood. Like that, the value, rather. And that feels so pedantic and almost absurd to say that's what we should be buying ads to go on TV, that's what we should be talking about in debates, presidential debates. But it's hard for me to get around it. I do think it, in some ways, is the most distinct explanation of why you can't negotiate with capitalism.
And I'm going to be extremely on brand, but this is where I have to come back to the labor movement, because they can make that argument not purely on the intellectual level. And people are really experiencing, like, I think about, a couple of years ago, there was the auto workers.
And so what's the argument she's making? She's saying everybody should be fighting to get rid of the capitalist. Like that's what everybody should be talking about. Like they should be out there. They should be people should be campaigning on that. We should be out there protesting to get rid of the capitalists, because we understand how capitalism works. Who keeps the surplus? So we should be out there fighting for that. That's the argument she just made. Now this guy is going to bring in the union. Why the unions are important in that?
Strike at day 3. General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis. And part of what the union did in bargaining, and they printed out these huge billboards, and they would have workers in meetings like, this is how much money you're asking for in wages and benefits. This is how much the company just spent on stock buybacks. And usually it was like the same number or more. But, workers who, again, are not, unfortunately, probably not listening to shows like this or reading things that I'm writing, kind of confronting, yeah.
So what he's saying basically is like, the workers are not really educated and on what's going on, and like being in the unions are important because the union get to lay it out for you. Like when they were going through the motor, like a couple of years ago, when the was it GM whatever, when they was going through that, I think I was during Obama time, when they was fighting about GM whatever. But be that as it may, when they were having these fights, he's saying like they was explaining to the workers, this is how much the company brings in, this is what the company takes and all of that. And at the end of the day, when he's talking about unions, he's talking about unions, people that work at GM. What % of Americans are in unions? Like, remember, you got to remember, these people are institutionalists. They work in the institutions. They are part of the machine. Their ideas of fixing things is basically reforming it, trying to put patchwork in there to try to act like this is what it's not. Because remember, she started the argument by saying, yo, our number one issue should be out there saying, yo, we are against the system, that the capitalists should not be keeping all of this, should not be keeping the surplus. That's what she was trying to hint at with her big words as on whatever she was saying. But she was trying to hint at. And he's coming saying it's a union. I think one of them over here about to say something.
I'm saying the podcast Mark Hills on. Heels like these profits, and I'm having
yeah, that's that. You see, I was gonna play this, but I'm not gonna play it. Like Richard Wolff gave. This is earned labor. EL means earned labor, living labor, and total labor. So he's saying like earned labor is like you put in $100 to what you call it, the whoever is the capitalist, they put in $100, and then the work that the people do. They put in $100 worth of work, and the total labor at the end of the day is worth $200. Now, when you sell the product and you get the money back, where you at? When you sell the product and you have that money left over, the capitalist, they get to take their $100 out. So whatever company you work at, whatever corporation you work at, the capitalists say, yo, I got the store, I brought the tools, I brought all that stuff. So look, I'm taking my $100 out. This is what it costs me to bring all the tools that y'all use to work to be able to make this stuff. So now we made $200 at the end of the day. So the workers, I'm going to give you $50. That's being generous, because that's not what it is right now. I think right now it's like 90-something to like 3%. The product, like when you break it down, how much the capitalists make and how much the workers make. But he said, let's just, for the sake of argument, let's say 50%. So they come, right, after they done took their $100 out of that 200. So it's 100 left. So all the workers, they give them 50% of what was made by that company, and they keep 50. And Richard Wolff is saying that 50 that they keep is the surplus. The surplus that they keep to keep them as being rich, to keep them keeping the system going the way it is. And he's saying, yo, why do they get that 50? That 50 needs to go back to the people that made that product. So Breonna Joy Gray was saying, yo, get rid of the capitalists. When we go into campaign, when people are making all these campaign promises, all that stuff, what they should be talking about is getting rid of these people right here that we keep the 50% whatever, the surplus. But they're not going to allow that to happen. That's why all these institutions are in place. And Richard Wolff is going to go on in this video to explain, because lack of time, I'm going to hurry up and explain this for him. He said with this 50, they take care of the schools to maintain the system. They hire the police to maintain the system. And if these people over here talking crazy about that they're only getting 50, they pick up a telephone, they call the police station, and the police station come over there with big sticks and knock them upside the head and tell them to shut up. And he's explaining this is how capitalism basically works. Without going into all the big fancy words and stuff. I mean,
Chairman,
go ahead.
Just to pick up back off the point about union, another reason why they're not the answer, because the government owns these unions. They can strike, they can boo-hoo all they want. I think it was Biden when the train people wanted to go on strike because they couldn't even do the job because they were only.
No, let me pick it back on what you just said. So now we got the 50 here, and they got the 50. So let's say these people that made this hammer, because they say they work in the hammer company, and all these people made the hammer, and they said, like, yo, we want more than this 50. The unions are supposed to be fighting for these people that work for the hammer, for them to get more of the 50. So, like, let's say they go back and they go fight, they say, we're going to go on strike. So now these people, the corporations say, you know what, y'all went on strike, we're going to give you 52 now, or we're going to give you 53. Yo, all those people that make hammers have nothing to do with the masses of people out here catching hell. I want to show you the issue with unions. Remember, like I said, it's less than 10% of the people that live in the country work in unions. When these unions go fight, they fight for themselves. they do not fit for the masses of the people. So now they go on the plantation and they beg Massa and they tell Massa, we want 52. So now they take their 52 and they continue to price gouge and exploit the masses of the people that are in that space. That's how capitalism works. That is capitalism. That's surplus. It's what Marx was talking about. When they talk about Marxism, like Marxism this, Marxism that, all Marx was saying was, these people, these corporations, they're taking the surplus from all the people that's doing the work. And the people that's doing the work, if they want to run us up, they need to get rid of this capitalist that own everything, and they own the stuff, the means of production themselves. So after you make this $200, we take $100, the people that made all of that stuff. They take $100 and they're going to put it towards getting more equipment to do the stuff. And then they give themselves the $100. And you cut out the capitalist. How do you think the capitalist is going to feel about that? Capitalists don't want to hear that. The capitalists want to be capitalists. They want to continue exploiting people. So they're going to come up with all kinds of stories to say being a Marxist is a cult. Being a Marxist means you're not going to be able to own anything. You're not going to be able to work. Let me show you. Let me show you right here. Let me show you. Because this is the deputy mayor. This is the deputy mayor. What is the deputy mayor, the general secretary? Something like that. Deputy mayor.
He's the deputy mayor of workforce. He's the guy who's supposed to get the residents' jobs. He fails at that.
Yeah, he's the one. This guy right here with the kufi on, because you know they think when they put on kufis and dress like Muslims, that makes them look like they're honorable, like they're for black people. Like this is the new thing that's going on now. Like they think the more Muslim they can be, the more pro-black they can be. But I want you to listen to his analysis. Listen to what he say, because I come on first. I explain what socialism and capitalism is. I mean, I don't think y'all want to hear that, so I ain't gonna go through all that. I'm gonna just put on what he say.
That's what give me the percent of the people in the city cap, and probably 90% of the people in the city cap.
You heard him? He's saying 90% of the people in Newark, New Jersey are capitalists. This is who's supposed to be like leading the city. He's one of the top people. He's in the top of the people that's leading the government of the city that we live in. And he's saying 90% of the people in this city are capitalists.
Chairman.
Yo.
If I know he don't believe that, but that would explain why he sucks at his job, because he thinks 90% of the people that don't have jobs are capitalists.
When you say he sucks at his job, or you say you don't think he believes that, I believe he truly believes that. I believe he truly believes that you're capitalists. That these people, 90% of the people in Newark are capitalists. I believe he's that ignorant. I truly do. Like, look at him. He believes what he's saying. Listen.
You know what I'm saying? I don't agree that every Norker's not working, that every Norker is struggling. Yes, do we? I got family members that's struggling in the city of Newark. But we were born and raised in the city. Like, I'm trying to understand what we're talking about. Like, we put down Norkers, but we say we help them. Like, no Norker can do anything for themselves. Every one of my sisters have jobs. Every one of them work. You know what I'm saying? They went to school. They got education. They work. My brothers work. Hey, my brothers that went to prison work. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that mean that we're struggling? Yes. Do we want more? Of course we want more. Like, I mean, anybody would want more. But you have to do something for pay yourself. There has to be accountability in wanting more, too. You have to do what they say for pay yourself. I don't believe in a system. I don't want to live in a system that we don't have laws and that the government just take care of me. A Muslim capitalist, she's saying. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, he's talking about socialism. So if you're living in socialism, he's saying if you live under socialism, the government got to take care of you. That's what he's saying. He's saying, like, you don't work. People don't work. They don't have jobs. They just sit at home, and the government's taking care of them. One of the guys, he's in China.
I don't believe that. So
he's in China. Let me go to it real quick. They're going to ask him how people in China live.
Since you're in social communist HQ. it true? Are there markets where you live? Are you allowed to purchase things and sell things? I mean, what do you make of this distinction between
No, I leave my drab gray apartment block, and then I clock in at the mine, and I work for 12 hours straight. It's like, if people knew what life is like outside of the United States, it's kind of like it's the counterexample, because the government will order, for example, petrochemical exporters to simply like close down production. They simply cannot export now because of the crisis in fuel prices due to the war waged on Iran. It's very clear here that government controls the market. So that is, like, government supersedes private industry. And in the U.S., it's the complete opposite way around. Private industry supersedes the government and in many ways owns the government.
So you said in China, the government owned the private industry. They control the private industry. And over here, is the private industry control our government. So that surplus that in China goes to schools, goes to infrastructure. Because I'm cutting this down. I don't. I guess what he's going to say. Because this is, I'm not a genius and I know all of this, but I already seen it already. But he's saying in China the surplus goes to the schools, goes to outside the potholes. Like, we driving around, like, everywhere you go, potholes. Like, I went to see somebody. I went to see my man the other day in Irvington, and I parked outside, waited inside his house for a couple of minutes. When I came outside, I got a ticket. He's saying, like things like that is the government taxing the residents, the people, exploiting the people to make money. It is not the government using the surplus to be able to provide industry or provide things to serve the people. And just think about it where you at. Do you feel like the government, the city, the town that you're in, they're really trying to cater to the people? They're using the surpluses to cater to the people, or is the surplus continuously going to the rich, while the people on the bottom struggle to try to find a way to afford rent, housing, all this stuff, as if there's no money here? And that's what he's saying was about socialism. But we were just listening to Rockman. And Rockman's ideology in his mind, and conservative mind, the way he's thinking about socialism means nobody works. The government controls you. The government controls everything. How much time we got, General Secretary? The government controls how you move. Anybody got something to say? Any hands?
It's 1:49. We got to like 2:45.
Oh, say no more. Ain't no hands up, right?
No, I don't see any hands up.
Now let me go back to these guys right here. Now I don't know why I was rushing then.
They want to believe that socialism means that we're all equally broke. It's the politics of Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, and that's simply not what it is. The difference between capitalism and socialism as a progression to communism is simply this. When the workers, as you said, Brianna, turn a pile of wood into furniture, there's two types of value here. There's use value, that is the use that somebody gets.
So he's explaining what Richard Wolff, what I told you Richard Wolff said about the surplus. He's about to explain the surplus in China, what they do with the surplus in China.
Out of using that table once they purchased it, there's exchange value, what they're willing to pay for that table that was built. Now, the surplus value, that is the amount that exchange value is worth more than the use value, that is the wholesale price of the good versus what they pay retail, or however you want to describe it. That difference is what is surplus value. So the question is, where does the surplus value belong? Does the surplus value belong to the worker, or does it get funneled up to the owner? That is simply the question that socialism is looking to answer. Who ends up receiving the surplus value out of the goods that we create? And the answer is, well, it must belong to the workers, because without their value in producing goods and providing services, then there simply is no value. To think that the owner works very hard is one thing. I mean, sure, yeah, I guess you could say that owners do work hard. Their labor is different. But in many ways, it parasitizes the labor of the workers. They are simply feeding off of the profits that the workers generate. If workers aren't making things, then you simply have nothing to sell. Therefore, nothing gets exchanged. No money is made.
And that's
just a pile of wood.
And that's the system we live in. I mean, that's the capitalist system we live in. Without the workers, there is no system. When they say all power to the people, that's what it means. When they say all the power is in the people, without the workers, without the people, nothing moves. I don't care what industry you work at. I don't care where you at. Without us, without the masses of the people, all of this shut down. But here, where we live at, where does the surplus go? The surplus go to the capitalists. In socialist countries, because people act like they don't understand what socialism is, that surplus goes back into maintaining institutions that serve the people. That's in socialist countries. Now, if you want to go to Marxism, there would be no corporation. In socialism, in the reality he's talking about, you still have capitalists. You still have people, you still have the owners. If you want to go straight to communism, there are no owners. So that's why they say they got to be steps. They got to be steps. You can't just go from what we have now, from capitalism straight to the Marxism. You can't do that. You got to deal with the owners right now. You have to make deals with the owners and tell the owners, like, look, we're giving you $100 back. I mean, we're going to give you $100 back. Maybe we're going to give you $110. But the rest of this money is going to go to the schools. We talking about our schools. Our schools have been failing all our lives, all our parents' lives. They've always failed. That's by design. Because that surplus doesn't go to doing that. That is not what they're teaching in those institutions. In the institutions that we live under, everything is created to keep us blind, dumb, and not have enough power to fight those that's keeping that surplus.
And Chairman,
go ahead.
Just looking in other countries that are, following semi-socialism, whatever, because nobody is absolute in their cohesion, societal cohesion. But those countries that are on that spectrum of socialism, communism, look at what they're investing in. They're investing in the people. Like China right now has freaking futuristic trains that travel across their country in like less than an hour. Every day I get on the freaking train station, it's a delay. Every day, and the prices keep going up on these trains and buses, but we're not getting better services. So when you want to compare capitalist societies, just look at the services that these other countries are providing to their people, from education, healthcare, freaking even opening a business, whatever you want to do. Go and educate yourself and look at the comparison and see who's better off.
All power to the people. I'm coming to you in a second, Cam. All power to the people.
Put an important point that when it comes up again later. Go ahead.
Yeah. But just quickly, that what is often misunderstood and I understand it with me, that the critique of that socialism and communism and not even private property is taken to mean at the level of headphones and T-shirts. But that's not what they're talking about. They're saying that the main drivers of the economy and society were nationalized in terms of healthcare, housing, education, study, and so forth, so that can't be privatized and then recognized and turn supported in the process of anything today. So that healthcare would actually be a healthcare system and not a private property business endeavor. So that's anyway, but that's I think a difficult point to tease out, certainly in this moment, never mind in that one, to do it in a kind of meaningful way. But that's why I just always try to move back and say, look, whatever shortcomings I have or Mark has in that moment or anyone has in this moment, we have to realize that these conversations are not encouraged. That is not a space conducive to those conversations. Most of us have to do a lot to study and learn about these ideals.
Listen, before I say what I got to say about that, hey, go ahead, Cam. What did you want to say, Cam?
I was going to say about China. When I first moved to China, I thought that I was walking into a purely socialist country, a communist country, a country where I would see the people truly being served. But I realized after a year or so that they were fooling them. They were deceiving them. They were providing the services, some of them, and then at the same time deciding who they wanted to control. And there was almost anybody who wanted to say something in opposition. There was a province way off in the west, past the desert, and I realized they were sending Muslims there and keeping them there and trapping them there. They take their passports. They actually made like a camp, like a concentration camp, like a work camp. I didn't really think it was real until I saw it. And if you ever go to Xi'an, there's a large Muslim population there. If you go into the city, you will see them standing there armed outside of those gates, right in the middle where the Muslims are. So I thought, it's not really socialism that I'm looking at. I can't find it. There's a McDonald's on the corner, there's a mall here. These people are shopping, buying stuff that their neighbors, their hometown or the town over just spent, 16, 17 hours straight working for almost nothing. And I don't think that it really exists. I thought it would maybe exist or be close to it, but it was almost just as bad, but in a different way. They were lying to people.
Hey yo, and that's why there's no socialist nations, there are no communist nations allowed today. You can't be both capitalist and socialist or communist at the same time. Those are contradictions. That make no sense. Where China is, I'll say this already. I say China is America maybe in the 1930s, 50s. I say 1950s and 60s. I mean, where they used to actually use the surplus, to treat white people better. I mean, like people did better. Like back then, one person could take care of a whole family. Now it's almost impossible. But back then, you could have one person go to work as a janitor and take care of a whole family, be able to afford a whole family. The problem with this is, with capitalism, and we're making this deal with capitalists, as time goes by, these rich people are going to try to find ways to exploit that system because they have the capital, they have the resources, they have the money to do it. That's why I said earlier, it's a process. You can't go from capitalism straight to communism. You can't. You got to go through this that stage, this socialist stage where you're saying the profits should be used towards building institutions for the people, but the final stage has to be communism. Which means you get rid of the business people altogether. Because if you don't get rid of them, they're always going to try to come back and take power. I mean, and what they was talking about in this video right here, what Jared Ball was saying is, let me try to remember real quick. I could have sworn I wrote it down. Jared Ball was trying to say, let me bring it back a little bit. I don't forgot. What was you saying?
That's what they see today. So that healthcare would actually be a healthcare system.
Yeah. He said people that want to be that don't want to be socialists. They see socialists as saying people can't have homes, people can't have private things. This stuff is gonna be owned by the government. The government is gonna control your life. They're gonna tell you how to live. He was like it is today. All this homes, gentrification, all this stuff is privatized. They own everything. The masses of people don't own anything. He's saying those that fear socialism, that act like they fear socialism, they're saying if the country becomes socialist, the government is going to own everything. They're going to control your way of life. They're going to control everything. Rather than them saying the surpluses goes towards institutions that's here to serve the people. That's not what the average person thinks. They just think that when you say the word socialism, because that's what they've been socialized to believe, when you say the word socialism, it means that people don't work, that the government control your life, they control everything. But that's not what socialism is. Socialism under capitalism means, where does that profit go? Where does it go? I'm coming, Ibrahim. Let me see.
Get in here.
No, it's all good. The 2 quick points I wanted to make were that one, the analysis that we just heard from Paul and Q is not possible in a space like Joe Biden podcast.
All right. Go ahead, Ibrahim.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, on just to piggyback off what Cam was talking about, I think those people are called Uyghurs, and they're in the West Providence of Xinjiang. If anybody just wanted to look that up, and they keep them in camps. And do all kind of horrible things to them. So there are many oppressed.
Those people aren't just the Uyghurs. There's like
Say that again.
there's like there are like several different groups of Muslims, but I know which ones you're talking about. The Uyghurs. There's a lot of them in Xi'an where I was living. They need to do that. I mean, not just that they only focus on Muslims. I'm just saying they do. But you're right.
Because like most people, you see, that's what I thought you were talking about too. Because that's the only group they talk about. But thanks a lot, comrade. Because like that's good to have you here. So there's other groups of Muslims that they're doing the same thing to. See, but those nobody's speaking about them. I mean, thanks a lot, Cam. Go ahead, Ibrahim.
But like essentially, like back to the original argument that if you, and this is like the indoctrination of Western society, right? Like we are raised off a heavy diet of propaganda. So you'll get people up there arguing who's at the bottom of the class structure. That's just like the deputy mayor or whoever you show video. He's in there saying 90% of the people in North are capitalists, right? That don't even make any sense. That wouldn't even be a capitalist system if everybody controlled parts of everything, right? It's like a pyramid, right? It's small at the top and big at the bottom for people that don't have nothing. What he's describing is not it. But if we had better institutions, better educational systems, then you wouldn't have people who were so committed to these ideologies, right? So you would just have a more educated populace that probably wouldn't be going to work and like be involved in this rat race the way it is. But ultimately, if capitalism was better, it would produce a better system. It would produce a better society, right? So like that's the weird thing in all of this. You got people who come from less, who have less, and then they always talk about, oh, you don't never own nothing. You don't never own nothing in America, right? The things that you do own are nominal. A pair of pants, some shoes. Like you never own a car. You'll be paying on that car for the rest of your life. Plates, registration, insurance. You'll never own a home. You'll never own a lot of these big ticket items, right? So the whole idea of like the arguments they try to make versus socialism versus capitalism is flawed to begin with. And if they just sat there and thought about it, or somebody just asked them the question that challenged them and let them know, most people in America don't own homes. Most people in America is drowning in debt, right? And then that debt accumulates interest. And another thing the deputy mayor tried to say, he said something about a Muslim capitalist. And that's because the two are antithetical to each other, right? Islam is share risk, share reward, right? There's like no concept of somebody just being able to invest and then sit back with no risk and just reap all of the reward, right? So I don't know where his education is from. Maybe he's just like putting things together that he heard here and there and trying to sound smart, but like he was just way off on everything.
Because they deal with the developers, they deal with the money people. And you can't be running up there talking about you a communist, you this. They listen to what these people saying. He sound like the people, the business people that they be with all day. He sound just like them. I mean, he pushed the blame on the people just like them.
This is done by design, and this is part of the problem in the first place, where conversations that move into more serious and maybe more complicated areas are never given the room to breathe and to take place in ways that they should in the first place. So in an old style sort of media analysis of the situation, Mark is already in a set up position from jump. And I don't know, as I was watching and I was going through all kinds of questions and trying to answer in my own mind, how would I respond to that moment? And I would have failed miserably. That's part of my design, to even look at the political economy of the Joe Biden podcast as a product. And look at it from investments and platforming and algorithm. It is by design a space where these conversations don't go exactly as they do. The other thing, just one point I was going to do really quickly, is that, because I was admittedly
he was a Jay-Z fan. That's what he was about to say.
Yeah, with Jay-Z, his whole career has been boosting this analysis that if you're not a boss, you're just a customer. And a customer is a negative. Yet in a 70% consumer-based economy, we should be praising the consumer and then rewarding the consumer as an initial start. This is not most revolutionary analysis, but just as a start from where we are, should be rewarding the consumer by redistributing all the wealth from that exchange back to people through a number of things like free healthcare, education, housing, and so forth. But instead, Mark kind of just trapped in that moment of trying to explain that no, the socialism, you can have some private property.
The man literally said they used to call us nigga and monkey. And
black people are not by and large capitalists because black people.
What you call it? What Jared just said just now. He said a lot, but he started off by saying in those spaces on the Joe Budden podcast, you can't have these conversations. And what he's saying is, if you have these conversations, they're not going to bring you back on there if you tell the truth. The people that own that space, the people that the money right behind it, they're not going to bring you there. So it's like you're stuck. Because he said he was trying to find ways in his mind how he could have dealt with that conversation. Because they're liberals. They're liberals. They're looking to try to move through these spaces. Like I think Ibrahim said a few minutes ago. Like these people don't want to lose access to these spaces. So when you're in those spaces, you got to be careful what you're saying. You can't tell the truth. You can't come out and say what it is. Like, Jay-Z exploited people. Jay-Z, yes, sold drugs. He claims selling drugs is the reason how he became a capitalist and all of this. That's wrong. You're not supposed to sell drugs to your own people. You're not supposed to exploit your own people if you're saying you're pro-black. If you're saying you're part of the culture, and it's never cool. It wasn't cool in the 80s. It wasn't cool in the 70s. It has never been cool to exploit your own people to make money. But you can't say that to somebody like Joe Biden. You can't say it to their face. You can't call them out and say, you're part of the system. Or they're not going to bring you back to that space. And you can't have that conversation there. And because he can't have that conversation, he's a liberal. He's not a socialist. He's not a Marxist. Because if he was a socialist and a Marxist, he's going to be a Marxist all the time, not only when it's beneficial to him. That's what we learn when we read in our red book. When we read in our red book, when we read the red book and we talk about combat liberalism, how to combat, like, you're not a Marxist or a socialist only when it's suitable for you. It's a way of life. So, and these people, I told you, they all work within the system. They all work in the system. None of them belong to any revolutionary organization. I'm going to say it now. I don't need to know them to know. They know the limits. They know how far to go. That's why they're going to tell you about the unions. That's why they're going to tell you about coming up with a separate party. But all of them, every single one of them, they think voting these politicians out, these people out, is how you change the system. When they all know voting won't do nothing to change anything. But that's what if you ask them what's your solutions, that's what they're going to push. They're going to tell you. We have to vote these people out of power. We got to come up with a third party. Like, what are you coming up with any of those parties for if you still got to go to that table that's rigged? So it doesn't matter what you call yourself, what party, what organization you're coming inside the casino with. The table is rigged. It don't matter if you're a Green Party. It don't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican. It don't matter what you are. When you come inside that casino gambling hall, that table rigged. So why are you going in there in the first place? Why are you walking in there if you know it's rigged? Why don't you build your own institutions? And they all refuse to build their own institutions, for us to build our own institutions. They act like they don't understand that. Even though they sit up here and they will tell you like this system is corrupt. You cannot reform capitalism. But they won't say like our work. What Gerald Ball's job, what Breonna Joy, their job should be using their mind and using their resources to organize, to build institutions in our community, serve everybody.
But Chairman,
go ahead.
Even if I wanted to give them a little grace, which they don't deserve, like Brianna, she went to law school, right? She like a whole lawyer. Why haven't you gather all your lawyer friends and go to the freaking, since you believe in these people's systems, go to their court and sue them on behalf of oppressed people? Because they went to UN. Everybody in the UN voted that slavery was a human crime or whatever, crime against humanity, except for America and Israel. Why aren't you so-called socialists making a big thing out of that? Or why isn't the FBA or the ADOS people or the black people making a big thing out of it? Take that and go against the American government. Because, again, they're not here to tear down the system. Or I don't even think they're even here to reform it. They're just there to run their mouth, collect the money that they get off of YouTube and whoever else is paying them to act like they're doing something.
All power to the people. No,
You know what FBA did in that instant? They did put a letter out, but they put a letter out against Ghana. You can look it up. If I find it, I'll put it in the inbox. But that's what FBA did. I don't know. I think their issue was with some of the language that Ghana used when they were addressing the UN, maybe on who receives it, or I don't know. But that's the bone they chose to pick is with Ghana.
Nah, seriously. No, but all these so-called intellectuals, like, I don't understand. I do understand, because they need to make money too. They're trying to survive too. They're trying to be capitalists too. They're not really down here trying to fight in no struggle or nothing. I mean, but when you have all these people that are from the same class, they sit down and talk. All these people that's talking here, none of these people are from our class. Just think about that for a minute. Each and every single one of them that we hear speaking, they're not from our class. They're not going to work every day, struggling to pay bills, working 2-3 jobs. They're not in our class. They're in a whole different class. So their analysis comes from their perspective of the class that they're in, and to justify them being who they are. For the hell of me, when I see these people, I'll be wondering why they be so arrogant up there. I'll be wondering why they think like they're the alpha males. Because
I think a lot of them is faking it until they make it, and that's what makes this whole thing so bad. Is that people are not advocating from the position they actually in; they advocating from the position they want to be in. I don't believe, I haven't met a poor person on the internet yet, but you meet them in real life every day. That's what really makes this whole thing so disheartening. A lot of these people are in our class. They just up there lying, trying to fake it till they make it, because they have aspirations to be a part of the oppressor class.
Hey, you say you didn't meet no poor person on the internet? You met me, man. I'm poor as hell, man. You met me. No, man. Anybody else got anything? Y'all better start talking. Hey, General Secretary, you wanted to go down to this? You wanted to show this video?
Yes.
Police say this massive warehouse fire was allegedly the work of a disgruntled employee. A stunning new video appears to show the start of the fire. In the footage posted to social media, you hear someone say all you had to do was pay us enough to live. As sacks of toilet paper burned.
All you had to do was just pay us enough to live. Well, go to your inventory.
Last night, police announced the arrest of Jamil Abdul Kareem on suspicion of multiple felony arson-related charges.
Yo, he sound black, son. I thought it was a white person that did it. Yo, you heard his name, Patience?
Wait, what's his name?
You ain't catch that, huh? You ain't catch that. Listen to his name.
Arson-related charges, adding a 29th Abdul Kareem. Last night, police announced the arrest of Jamil Abdul Kareem.
Jamil Abdul Kareem. Y'all think he's black?
I feel like that's one of our Muslim brothers. Yo.
You don't think he's black?
Jamil. No, I think he is a black. He sounds like a black Muslim, but whatever. That Abu Kareem last name, I don't know. But shout out to my man, y'all.
Jamal Abdul Kareem.
On suspicion of multiple felony arson-related charges, adding a 29-year-old is an employee of NFI Industries, a third-party distributor for Kimberly-Clark, the company known for manufacturing paper-based personal care.
He works for the company, a third-party distributor. So, like, and I'm telling you, like, this is how they you're not even working for the company. You're working for a third-person distributor, and they don't pay you nothing. So they're getting the money off the top. That third person is getting the money off the top, and then they putting your legs underneath to pay you. And what brother do? He burnt all that stuff up. But you, like, at the end of the day, that's reactionary behavior. I'm sure that company got insurance. I'm sure that company got insurance. They're going to mess around, come out big on the other side, while that person is about to go to jail. Because that's why none of this is about reactionary behavior. Real talk. And that's what's going to happen. This is what people are going to do if there's no political education classes. If people are not politically educated to be able to deal with all of this, this is what they're going to do. They're going to do reactionary, adventurism. And this solves nothing at the end of the day. At the end of the day, bro, going to jail. So now you ain't got no job, and now you locked up. And fire is like you get a lot of time for that.
But again, that's the product of the capitalist system. Like this brother, I'm sure he felt like at this point, I don't care if I go to jail because I can't pay rent, I can't feed myself, I have nothing to lose. So there you go. You don't pay us enough.
Nah, seriously. That's if there are no options. If we're not out there, as an organization, we're not out there showing people there's another way. There's another option. You don't have to work for this toilet paper company all your life. And we all got jobs. Let's put our money together and get something. And get our own toilet paper business. If that person is not organized to do that, this is what they're gonna do. Adventurism. Like burn up. Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, we understand why you did it. But now you just leaving yourself to these savages. They're about to go take the rest of the years you got on your life away. I think he's 29. Man, he ain't coming out of it until he's like 50-something if you do come out. When that whole time, you probably could have spent like 1 more year, 2 more years working there until we put our money together for us to get us some stuff in the community where you don't have to go work there. We could come up with a plan, with a strategy where you don't have to go there no more. They're not exploiting your capital no more. You don't have to go burn this stuff and go to jail. You don't have to go hurt nobody. You don't have to do no extra stuff. You'll find an organization to join. Find an organization fighting for liberation. I mean, that's how you deal with it. I think that's a better way to deal with it than going to go burn it up and now you locked up. Now you gone. Ain't nobody coming to come get you. I mean, but yeah, man, but I think, we done for this week, man, unless anybody got something. Talk to me. Anybody got something? Anybody want to say anything?
Thank you for the class. I always appreciate it.
All power to the people. Hey, what's up, Steven? I don't know who you are, Steven. What's going on, Tom? If y'all want to say something, y'all can say something. How you doing, Queen Mary? Who is Queen Mary?
What's good, Africa?
Let me got the big hand on the screen. Hold on, let me come up so I can see you. Let me see. Yo, back up a little bit. I can barely see you, man. You got your face all in the camera. Your face like right on the camera.
Yeah, he can't see you.
Can you hear me, Tom?
Oh, what you say?
I'm like, oh, you at work?
Oh yeah, I clock in there 20 minutes.
Where you at right now?
Oh, the airport.
Oh, you back on the flights?
Oh nah, not yet. I ain't doing that until the fall.
What you doing right now?
Oh, I just do customer service inside of the American Airlines lounge.
Oh, power to the people. How you doing though?
I'm doing good, man. I left. Everything better once I left. Everything got better.
So you left us on the plantation. You done ran to Orlando plantation.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But I'm more relaxed, man. Than being down here. I see more, you know, because there's a lot of there's a lot of white people down here. So I'm down to how it's structured.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Somebody been on the phone.
Hey yo.
Can you put him on the phone?
Oh no, I don't know though. What'd you say?
Can you put that white boy on the phone next to you? That's the side.
I don't know.
He was looking. He was on the phone just now.
Oh yeah, that's a passenger. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot of Spanish people down here. I wish y'all was trying to put them on, like Black History and everything. A lot of them don't care. A lot of them are just here to get money, you know. And I was trying to explain to them like, yeah, we're still slaves, you know. So I was just asking them about like what's their reasons for coming over here, you know, like what's their input. They don't really know nothing about what goes on in America. They don't even know. They still think Christopher Columbus discovered America. You know, they think Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves because he liked black people and stuff like that. You know, some of them listen, some of them, you know what I'm saying, don't care. You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah.
Hey, yo, text me later. You heard?
All
right. Hey, Queen Mary, you there, Queen Mary? Or Stephen, you there, Stephen? Y'all not gonna talk to me, Stephen and Queen Mary? Hey, Queen Mary.
Yeah, I'm here, Stephen.
How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing great. How you making out?
Outstanding, man. You got any comments, Stephen?
No, I just popped in. I don't even know what the topic is. What is that again?
I said you just got it now.
Wait a minute. I got a lot of background noise. I'm driving right now.
Nah, that's
what was the topic? What was the topic?
No, we was talking about capitalism.
You're jumping in and out. It's really hard to understand you.
Let me see. Yeah, we were talking about capitalism. And Marxism.
Capitalism and Marxism?
And socialism.
And socialism. Okay.
Yeah. But thanks for pulling, man. That's to the people.
Well, I got a question for you. Are those three formats that you just mentioned to me, capitalism, socialism, Marxism, which one do you think benefits the people the most?
The one that put the production in the hands of the people.
The one that puts in the hands of the people. Okay.
Yeah, that put the power in the hands of the people.
So would that be socialism or Marxism?
Hold on one second. Hey, General Secretary, come on for a second.
I'm coming. I'm here.
Why am I getting that feedback? No, I'm not on the phone. Go back to where it was before. No, I'm getting feedback. Give me a second. Do you hear me, Steve?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Still a little feedback. See, this is a second delay. Yeah, right to the second delay.
Try again.
Hello? Hello? Yeah, still there. Tell everybody my Hello? I'm leaving it too. That's not it. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, man, there's some feedback. It's taking a few seconds for me to.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man.
All right, man. Tony, we're going to be.